Hello, you're watching Shalom World News. I'm David Kerr in Glasgow, Scotland, and these are your latest news headlines from around the world. On the penultimate day of his 4-day visit to the Democratic Republic of Congo, Pope Francis met with young Congolese people on Thursday morning at the Martyrs Stadium in Kinshasa. The 86-year-old Pope cautioned students against using drugs, engaging in the occult or witchcraft activities, or using their phones excessively, saying life is more than just touching a finger on the screen. He then used the imagery of the 5 fingers to present 5 points.
1, 2, 3, adesso torniamo al quarto dito.
That he said are essential to a better future: prayer, communion, honesty, forgiveness and service. He also told the youth present to be hopeful and to stay focused on Jesus. Also on Thursday, Pope Francis exhorted Congolese priests and religious to be channels of the Lord's consoling presence, joyful witnesses of the gospel and prophets of peace amid storms of violence. The Holy Father made his plea to priests, nuns, seminarians and deacons during the prayer service at Kinshasa's Notre Dame de Congo Cathedral. He told those gathered to be good priests, deacons and consecrated persons. Words and intentions alone are not enough. In fact, he said their lives must be exemplary. Pope Francis is visiting the Democratic Republic of Congo from January the 31st to February the 3rd. His travels to the Congo are in the footsteps of Pope St. John Paul II, who visited the nation back in 1980 and 1985. The Holy Father, Pope Francis, will then spend 3 days in South Sudan on an ecumenical pilgrimage for peace before returning to the Vatican. Bishop Eduardo Helebro Kusala of Tumbura Yambio in South Sudan says that he hopes Pope Francis' visit to South Sudan will bring his people hope, tolerance, forgiving spirit, the ecumenical flavour of unity, reconciliation and healing. 2 journalists in Malta are being prosecuted for publishing an interview with a Maltese man who gave up being a practising homosexual due to his Christian beliefs. The article featured 33-year-old Matthew Gretsch and was published in Malta's PM News. Now its editor, Mario Camilleri, and journalist Rita Bonici are being prosecuted under Malta's Affirmation of Sexual Orientation, Gender and Gender Expressions Act, which states it is unlawful for any individual to advertise homosexual conversion practices. The journalists now face a fine of €5,000 or up to 5 months in jail. Bishop Robert Barron of Winona Rochester has expressed his concern over a new law that makes abortion, quote, a fundamental right in the state of Minnesota. The legislation, entitled the Protect Reproductive Options Act, was signed into law on Tuesday by Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz. Bishop Barron called it the most really extreme abortion law that's on the books in the wake of Roe versus Wade. Among other things, the new law eliminates parental notification regarding abortion.
My anger, my frustration over this terrible law that was just signed by the governor in Minnesota, the most really extreme abortion law that's on the books in the wake of the Roe v. Wade reversal, basically eliminates any kind of parental notification, so a 12-year-old child could get an abortion without even telling her parents about it.
Bishop Barron describes the bill as the worst kind of barbarism. Meanwhile, hundreds of people have participated in the Virginia March for Life rally, which took place in the state capital of Richmond on February the 1st. The event was hosted by March for Life Education and Defence Fund, along with the Family Foundation. State Attorney General Jason Miyares, Arlington Bishop Michael Burbidge and Richmond Bishop Barry Nestout were among the speakers. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin also participated in the pro-life rally. Attorney Generals from across the United States are warning pharmacy chain CVS and Walgreens not to distribute abortion pills in their states. In total, 20 Attorney Generals whose states limit abortion have advised the pharmacy chains against fulfilling mail orders within their borders. Their warning comes as CVS and Walgreens pursue federal authority to offer the abortion medications. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, who is leading the coalition, said in a statement that his office is doing everything in its power to inform these companies of the law, with the promise that they will use every tool at their disposal to uphold the law in their state if it's broken. On Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, more than 1,000 people from across the world gathered for the International Religious Freedom Summit 2023 in Washington, D.C. The conference was opened by US Congressman Michael McCaul, who told those assembled that, quote, religious freedom for many is increasingly under threat around the world. The Republican politician from Texas, who is a practicing Catholic, in his remarks, he defended religious freedom as the cornerstone of human rights by citing the words of both Pope Francis and Pope St. John Paul II. 4 men have been given long jail sentences for being accomplices to a terror attack by a jihadist gunman in the Austrian capital of Vienna 3 years ago. It was November 2020 that 20-year-old Kuchim Fujalai went on the rampage, shooting dead 4 people and wounding 23 others. His 9 minutes of terror finally ended when he was shot dead by police. The men on trial this week were accused of helping him before the attack. 2 others, aged 22 and 23, were found not guilty of being accomplices to murder, but were convicted of lesser terror-related offences. An American tourist has been arrested in Israel for vandalising a statue of Jesus at a Catholic church in Jerusalem. The incident occurred on Thursday, according to the Associated Press. The attack took place at the Church of the Flagellation, which is situated on Jerusalem's Via Dolorosa, that Christ took to Mount Calvary, where he was crucified. The report suggests that the tourist threw the figure of Christ to the ground before being apprehended by Israeli police officers. The man is reported to have said, quote, "In Jerusalem, you cannot have idols. This is the holy city," before being taken into custody. Police have now opened an investigation into the circumstances of the vandalism, as well as the suspect's mental health. Finally, the former Prime Minister of Australia, Tony Abbott, says that the late Cardinal George Pell was the greatest ever Australian Catholic. Mr Abbott made his comments as hundreds gathered on Thursday for the Requiem Mass for the late Cardinal Pell at Sydney's St Mary's Cathedral. The funeral liturgy was presided over by the city's Archbishop Anthony Fisher. It was attended by hundreds of mourners, including many who gathered to pray outside the church. Cardinal Pell died following hip surgery in a Rome hospital on January the 10th due to cardiac problems. He was 81 years old. May he rest in peace. And that's all for now. Due to the Pope's apostolic visit to South Sudan, there will be a special news telecast at 8:45 p.m. on Saturday. Until then, though, Shalom.